The economic crisis is also worsening. China is still celebrating the Lunar New Year, which should be a festive time. However, a netizen recently returned to China and visited a shopping mall in Shanghai. He later posted, "It can be described in 4 words: terrible." The shopping mall, spanning hundreds of thousands of square meters, was nearly empty, to the point of being eerie. At noon, Yonghui Supermarket had only one cashier, despite covering an area of more than 10,000 square meters. There was no escalator in the basement, so people had to walk up and down. The vacancy rate of stores along the 1-kilometer-long street was 80%, with almost no first-tier or second-tier brands. The netizen stated, "No exaggeration or slander. This is the reality. The economy is finished." As China's economy continues to slow and housing prices plummet, the new poor are emerging in major cities like Beijing and Shanghai. They may appear well-dressed, but mounting debt has pushed them into financial hardship. A new term has surfaced on Chinese social media: new poor. This group is expanding across major cities, particularly in first-tier cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, where such cases are more common. Common characteristics of the new poor include owning a house and a car in the city, having little to no savings. Aside from the house and car, they possess no other significant assets, holding debt in the millions, sometimes even tens of millions, with massive monthly repayments. Due to a sharp decline in income, they now struggle to cover their bills. Many wonder, if someone owns a house and a car in the city and has a net worth of at least millions of yuan, how can they be considered poor? The answer lies in the fact that most people purchase homes and cars on installment plans, creating immense financial pressure. The repayment period can stretch for decades. Furthermore, with the Chinese economy in decline, many have lost their jobs and face unstable incomes. Under the strain of mortgages and car loans, they are forced to cut spending and lower their quality of life just to get by. They dare not splurge on entertainment or even fall ill, becoming the city's new poor. These new poor are described as living in houses worth millions of yuan, but struggling to pay a 10,000 yuan mortgage. Driving cars worth hundreds of thousands of yuan, but unable to afford a 500 yuan tank of gas. Their daily lives are burdened by high mortgage payments, with nearly all their income going toward home and car loans. They work tirelessly every day, living in constant anxiety. If they lose their jobs or fail to meet their monthly mortgage payments, the bank will repossess their house and car, erasing years of effort. In recent years, China's real estate market has been sluggish, with home prices in first-tier cities dropping nearly 30%. In other cities, the decline has been even steeper, with some areas seeing prices fall by more than 50%. Those who purchased homes at peak prices are now suffering heavy financial losses. Compared to rural residents, the new poor have lower risk tolerance since they do not own land or grow their own food. In the city, everything, from food and clothing to housing and transportation, is expensive. Beyond mortgages, they must cover daily expenses, including utilities, transportation, and social obligations. Every morning when they wake up, they are met with mounting debts and necessary expenditures. These new poor struggle to make ends meet. If one day they lose their income, the city will mercilessly force them to pack up and leave. Political commentator Zhang Tianliang stated in a recent program that insider information suggests Xi Jinping may be aware of growing public discontent. As a result, his first directive to the Ministry of Public Security in 2025 was to prioritize and swiftly handle political cases. Notably, related documents have reportedly been sent to grassroots public security offices. There are claims that around the Chinese New Year, leaflets with similar messages appeared on university campuses in cities like Beijing, Shijiazhuang, Zhengzhou, Guangzhou, and Changsha, calling for the overthrow of Xi Jinping and the CCP. These leaflets speculated on potential political shifts, mentioning the possible impact of Trump's return to power and the next 4 years as a period of change for China. The stock market is in chaos, and the CCP is using shaky Social Security and pension funds to bail it out. After U.S. President Trump announced a 10% tariff on Chinese goods, the Chinese stock market immediately declined. To stabilize the market, the CCP government made a major move, announcing that it would invest hundreds of billions of yuan through state-owned insurance companies. Scholars believe that investing people's pension and Social Security funds in the high-risk stock market is essentially putting their future retirement security at risk. Amid China's economic downturn, the already strained pension system faces the risk of running out of funds within 10 years and has recently encountered new threats. In an effort to stabilize the stock market, the CCP authorities plan to invest Social Security and pension funds in equities. On January 22, 6 CCP departments jointly issued the Implementation Plan for Promoting the Entry of Medium and Long-Term Funds into the Market, stating that it aims to guide commercial insurance funds and Social Security funds to increase their market participation. American economist David Huang stated, "The Beijing government claims it will ease the capital market downturn, boost confidence, and support the so-called real economy by guiding medium and long-term funds into the market." However, this policy is highly problematic. First, these funds are designed for risk-free arbitrage in the medium and long term, whereas the Chinese stock market itself is highly volatile. In such a risky environment, placing funds that require security and stability is structurally contradictory and conflicting. Scholars believe that since Trump took office, the Chinese government has intensified efforts to stabilize market sentiment and prevent systemic risks. David Huang: "The current A-share market is severely depressed, confidence is seriously lacking, foreign capital is flowing out, and the public is complaining. The government aims to support the real economy by directing long-term funds into the capital market. This allows stocks to be sold at high prices to retail investors, generating profits for companies, especially for struggling real estate firms and other businesses experiencing economic slowdowns that urgently need funds. It is easier to extract money from the stock market than from real estate. There are no unfinished construction projects, no need to deliver houses, and no need to build them. Making money this way is faster and more stable." David Huang: "This is a scam worse than a casino. The issue is not just a high proportion of retail investors or poor policies. These are merely surface-level symptoms. The real problem is that China's stock market lacks strict regulation, laws are not enforced, and small and medium-sized investors receive no protection. Shareholders and investors are treated as leaks and human minds to be exploited. This is the core issue. Without political reform, nothing will change." Professor Xi'an of the Aiken School of Business at the University of South Carolina said, "The market may rebound temporarily, but how long will it last? In previous bailouts, it was state-owned funds, money from state-owned banks, and government capital that entered the stock market. This only trapped ordinary people, while allowing major investors, the wealthy second generation and the red second generation of the CCP, to withdraw their money, cash out, and flee. These bailouts ultimately helped the elite escape while trapping more regular citizens." He urged the Chinese people not to be greedy and to sell quickly, as this may be their last chance to escape. Today is the third day of the Lunar New Year. Some netizens have discovered that this year's New Year holiday has seen 10 abnormal phenomena in China. The first-tier city of Guangzhou has staged an empty city plan. The streets are deserted and desolate. 10 abnormal phenomena in China. During the 2025 New Year holiday, a mainland netizen posted a video on a social platform stating that there are 10 abnormal phenomena during the 2025 New Year one. Few people send New Year greetings via text messages on WeChat. 2. The ban on fireworks and firecrackers has become a dead letter. 3. Red envelopes are no longer sent in WeChat groups. 4. The 5 blessings on Alipay are no longer visible. 5. No one participates in New Year red envelope tasks on platforms such as Baidu, Douyin and Kuaishou. 6. Fewer people go to hotels for New Year's dinner. 7. There are no traffic jams on the way back to the village for the New Year. 8. Many people start working on the second day of the New Year. 9. Many families buy very few fruits and snacks. 10. Offline New Year greetings are also avoided whenever possible. Many netizens left comments in the comment section saying, "The key reason is that people have no money in their pockets. The main reason is that they have no money. The main reason is that their pockets are empty and they can't celebrate." Netizen said, "What does this say? The Chinese people are entering a period of famine, and if you don't save, your family may soon have no food to eat." So sad, right? 2025 New Year, Guangzhou becomes an empty city. Some netizens posted a video saying that while Guangzhou was bustling with people during last year's New Year, on the first day of this year's New Year, Guangzhou had become an empty city. It was deserted everywhere. The shops on the streets were closed, Metro Line 3 was empty, Zhujiang New Town was desolate, and there were few people on Tiuxi Road. It seems that many migrant workers have returned home for the New Year. Other videos show that the urban villages in Guangzhou, usually crowded with pedestrians, have now turned into empty cities. Footsteps echo through the streets, with only empty villages and local residents remaining. Some netizens posted photos of the empty streets below their homes, frankly saying, "It's so quiet, a little strange." Regarding the claim that Guangzhou became an empty city during the Chinese New Year, some netizens commented, "There aren't many locals in Guangzhou. When those working outside return home, the city becomes empty." Other netizens suggested that this situation may be related to poor business conditions this year. Many people in Guangzhou who run foreign trade and clothing businesses closed their shops early and went home for the Chinese New Year. However, some Guangzhou residents stated that there are still many people in the old city during the Chinese New Year as locals went to the Flower Street. Additionally, this year, a strange phenomenon has been observed in many places, including Guangzhou. On the first and second days of the Chinese New Year, many people joined the return migration, embarking on their work journey for the new year with fatigue, reluctance, or anxiety. This abnormal phenomenon highlights that, amid China's continued economic decline, people's financial pressures are too great, making them hesitant to relax and rest even during the Chinese New Year. Some netizens even admitted that they dare not take a break during the New Year, saying, "I worked on New Year's Eve and the first day of the New Year and only bought 10 yuan worth of oranges for the holiday." Henan Village Bank, depositors face difficult year-end, face repression for demanding their deposits. Thousands of Henan Village Bank depositors have had their deposits illegally frozen for more than 3 years, leaving many in despair and struggling at the end of the year. Before New Year's Eve, another depositor took the risk of traveling to Henan to demand their deposits. 3 depositors who were arrested on New Year's Eve last year suffered severe mistreatment in the Henan Detention Center, were secretly tried and sentenced, and were released before this year's New Year. For over 3 years, depositors from other provinces with deposits exceeding 500,000 yuan have had their funds illegally frozen, with no way to file complaints, pushing many into desperation. Some have been unable to afford food or medical care. Before the new year, reports emerged that some depositors resorted to selling blood, collecting scrap materials, and gathering leftover chive leaves to make dumplings. Depositor Kai Guangli, "I have no living expenses. The new year is approaching and I have to sell junk to survive. I've been collecting scrap for a long time, saving it up to sell by the cartload. Hainan Bank, return my deposit. Return my deposit now. I can't go on like this." Depositor Li K, "The Hainan government has illegally frozen the deposits of thousands of Hainan Village Bank customers for 3 years. This is an outrageous act. Many depositors are on the verge of despair, living in extreme hardship. Not only do they have no food, but many are bedridden and unable to afford medical treatment." On January 27th, the day before New Year's Eve, another depositor traveled to Henan to demand their deposits, despite the risk of being arrested. Depositor: Henan New Oriental Village Bank, return my deposit. Henan Provincial Union Bank, return my deposit. Henan Shenzhen Rural Commercial Bank, return my deposit. Henan Secretary Liu Yangsheng, return my deposit. Henan Town Bank, return my deposit. Henan Kaifeng New Oriental, return my deposit. Henan Xinjiang Rural Commercial Bank, return my deposit. On New Year's Eve, February 9, 2024, 3 depositors, Shi Jianjian, Ouyang Yun, and Hu Weiming, traveled to Henan to reclaim their deposits. They were arrested by Henan authorities under the charge of picking quarrels and provoking trouble and detained at Zhengzhou City No. 3 Detention Center. They were secretly tried and sentenced at the end of last year, but all 3 were released before this year's Chinese New Year. Ouyang Yun's wife revealed that after being released, Ouyang Yun had lost more than 30 kilograms. His hair had turned completely white. His face was gaunt, and he was extremely fatigued due to contracting COVID-19 while in prison. Shi Jianjian stated that he developed a skin condition while in detention and lost over 40 kilograms. Depositor Li Ke, Ouyang Yun, Shi Jianjian, and Hu Weiming all suffered severe mistreatment. Shi Jianjian wrote in his autobiography that because he refused to sign a forced confession by the Henan authorities, his case was classified as a major and serious case. He was isolated in detention, with no one allowed to speak to him. He endured psychological pressure, neglect, and was allegedly poisoned. He suddenly developed a severe skin condition with abscesses all over his body, suffered from sleep deprivation, and described his experience as unbearable. The Henan authorities deliberately denied him medical treatment,